Welcome into Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Today on the show, it's the same tired narrative. June was everything that we had hoped for, and now he should be here to stay. It's all next. It's Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.
This is Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Hitting Hard is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We ask you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can get the latest episodes of Hitting Hard as soon as they become available. Check us out on the Sirius XM app as well, and give me a follow on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. So, again, this is the same tired narrative that we hear from everybody. And I'll say it like this. So, Pro Football Focus has a headline: one trade, free agent signing, or extension for all 32 NFL teams before training camp. And like most people, they talk about, the idea of adding another wide receiver. So in the Falcons case, they have the Atlanta Falcons should sign Jarvis Landry to a contract. Here's what they say. Quote, Landry is an underneath slot receiver, could be a safety valve over the middle for quarterback Desmond Ridder. The Falcons are still thin at pass catcher beyond Kyle Pitts and Drake London. After missing most of 2022 with an injury, Landry's likely looking for a one-year flyer contract offer again in 2023. Landry is also a good veteran leader, blah, 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 blah. They got all the stats and everything like this. Okay. All right. This is the same tired narrative. All right. So first off, the Falcons are thin. The Falcons are thin at pass catcher beyond Kyle Pitts and Drake London. So Jonnu Smith, Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, like those are guys that can't catch the football. I mean, we don't have anybody else that can catch the football on this roster. I get that maybe not at the high caliber level of London and Pitts, but again, I keep going back to this narrative. Like, our number one issue isn't we just don't have enough guys to catch passes, especially when I don't even know how many times we're going to throw it in a year. Are we going to throw it? Are we going to all of a sudden become the Matt Ryan Falcons and throw it 600 times a year? Is that where we're headed? I don't think so. I don't really anticipate that. So, again, we have guys who can catch passes. I have guys who can operate in the slot. Patterson can operate in the slot. Jonnu Smith can do it. Pitts can. I got guys who can do all of these things. And, again, maybe they're just not the big-name guys and things like that. Jonnu Smith had his best years with Arthur Smith when he was in Tennessee. That's a guy who could be an absolute weapon for this offense. I could see him catching 50, 60 passes, 700-800 yards, 4 to 6 touchdowns. Like, that's not a valuable commodity. I mean, that's not value to what the Falcons do. I don't really understand this narrative. And this seems to be the narrative that everybody has. Sign wide receivers, sign wide receivers. What about that fire breather coming off the edge? Didn't I express my frustrations yesterday on this podcast after hearing what Josh Kendall had to say? And not that Josh was wrong or anything like that. He summed it up perfectly. And again, before I start worrying about pass catchers, how about, again, when we talk about guys who the Falcons can sign, how about adding Justin Houston or Ngakoue or Melvin Ingram? I've talked about all of those guys on this podcast. Why isn't that name brought up when you look at what the Falcons need? 68 sacks in a 3-year period. That's not even as much as the Eagles had last year. Where'd the Eagles end up last year? Oh, yeah, Super Bowl. That's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What was the line from Josh Kendall? When you look at the advanced metrics, you realize that sacks are more important than ever. And yet we keep going down this road. We keep going down the same rabbit hole that we feel like we have to have more guys that do the things that aren't important to what we're going to do. I have plenty. There are plenty of pass catchers on this roster. Yeah, you could always upgrade and add more people. You could add more offensive linemen. You can add more defensive linemen. You can add more corners. I'm not saying that, but everybody seems to prioritize the idea of, well, we need more pass catching for an offense that basically threw it the least amount of times in the entirety of the NFL. And I don't think that that is going to have a drastic change. I think we're still going to be the most run-heavy team in the NFL like we were last year. We're going to call the highest percentage of running plays in the NFL. I still think that's again, if that's not the case, then why do you have Tyler Algier and then draft a running back at 6? If we're not going to be a run-dominant team, why do you have a 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie and then turned right back around and drafted running back at number 6? Well, he's more than just a running back. He's still a running back. Still a running back. Still that kind of guy. It ain't like he's going to get 0 carries. It's not like the only way he's going to carry the football is on a jet sweep. It's not like the only way that he's going to carry the football when he's lined up is a reverse. He's going to be in the backfield running the football at a high rate. And yet, if this is the case, then we don't know what we're doing. I'll say it like that. And I think Arthur Smith, obviously, I think he knows what he's doing. I'm not saying that, but again, if the philosophy is we just are going to throw it around and we need more pass catchers and this, that, and the other, then why did we draft a running back? Why didn't we draft wide receiver at 8? We drafted a wide receiver the year before. If we needed more, why don't we go out and get more? Because that's not what we are. And again, I mean, when I look at these kinds of lists and stuff, I don't see Justin Houston. I don't see Melvin Ingram. I don't see Ngakoue. Why not sign one of those guys? We got the money. We got the available cap space. I don't care how you use those guys. Just give me a guy coming off the edge that if his only job is to go sack the quarterback, that's his only job. And if Ebiketie can't handle the role, then at least I have guys that have proven it in the NFL that I can stand there and say, all right, well, go get that guy. But it's the same tired narrative about what the Falcons really need. And I get it because, again, they look at this hole or whatever, and they say, well, that's an easy fit. Round peg and a round hole, it should be a really easy fit. And it's really not. Again, I mean, can you always upgrade at a position? Yeah. If I can upgrade at punter, I'll upgrade. I'll go to the Bill. It's the Bill Parcells philosophy. If I can upgrade my 51st, 52nd, 53 man on the roster, I'm going to upgrade those guys on the roster. It's the Bill Parcells theory. So again, if I can get better and better players in all of this, sure. But what is it that I need to still address? What do I need to have more confidence in? What is it why are we not a franchise that impacts the game on the defensive line side of the football? Is it because we don't have enough wide receivers? Is it again, you can hear my frustration in my voice. These are people that really don't know and understand why the Falcons are in the spot that they are. They play fantasy football. They watch, cursory parts of the game. They look from 35,000 foot and don't dial into why we're in the state that we're in. Falcons don't need to add more pass catchers. They again, you can't have too many corners. You can't have too many pass catchers, all this, that, and the other. Well, let me tell you what the first thing is that we need. We need more guys to come off the edge to sack the quarterback. Plain and simple. And until we start doing that, I'm not worried about how many footballs I'm going to catch because I got half a dozen guys that can catch the football for a team that doesn't throw it to begin with, for a team that doesn't drop back 600 times and huck it all over the field. Those days are gone for now. Unless Matt Ryan is coming back from the dead and he's rising up and they're going to put the ghost and spirit of Matt Ryan. And I know he's not dead, but, they're not going to do that. And we're not going to be an offense that throws it 600 times a game. It's the same tired, lazy narrative over and over and over. All right, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sportsbook. And look, we are literally almost a day away from being at the halfway point of the MLB season. All-Star game is right around the corner. FanDuel's got you covered where if you're a new customer to FanDuel, sign up today and claim your no-sweat first bet where you can get as much as $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Head to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON. Sign up today and claim your no-sweat first bet where if your first bet doesn't win, you can get as much as $1,000 in bonus bets. Look, FanDuel's safe, super easy to use, secure. They've got you covered where if you want to bet money lines, point spreads, how many homers Aaron Judge is going to hit, in a game tonight, they've got you covered all the way around. So head to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON and claim your no sweat first bet where if that first bet of yours doesn't win, you can get as much as $1,000 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel is the official partner of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Well, June was everything that we thought it could be. And we still got, a couple of days here left in the month, but with the sweep of the Minnesota Twins. And we talked specifically about this on the podcast. I've talked about this in depth on my radio show, that this was moving month for the Atlanta Braves. This was an opportunity that when you looked at the schedule for the month of June, and we'll get into July coming up tomorrow, but when you looked at the month of June, there was a lot of last place teams. There were a lot of not good teams on the schedule. And then you also had head-to-head matchups against both Philadelphia, which was the first time we played Philly this year, head-to-head matchups against Philadelphia and New York. And if you could take care of your business against Philly in New York, the schedule lent itself that there was going to be an accumulation of a lot of wins. And we also talked about the fact that this could get to double-digit leads over both the Phillies and the Mutts when the end of the month rolled around and we headed toward July, could very easily be 10 plus games up on both Philadelphia and New York. Well, here we sit now, with the month about to close out, and the Braves have done exactly that. Braves have won 5 in a row, and they've won a remarkable, and it's a remarkable number, 20 of their 24 games in the month of June. Now, look, they've done everything they can to take advantage of this month. Right now, they sit 6.5 games up on the Marlins, 10.5 games up on Philadelphia, 17 games up on the Mutts. And for the month of June so far, and again, we're still not all the way through the month, but the Braves have hit a whopping 55 homers, stolen 26 bases, hit 303 as a team with a 368 on-base percentage, 552 slugging, and an OPS as a team. Listen to me. As a team, they have an OPS of 920 for a month. An entire team that has an OPS of 920 for an entire month. That's an absurd number. That's not hot for a few days. That's not a couple of players hot. That's your entire roster that is contributing to your success. And this was everything, and we called it. We predicted it. We said, look, This should be a month that the Braves really start to expand that lead with a lot of last, but the Detroits and the scrubs of the world, right? Colorado and teams like that. And then if you just handled your business against the Mutts and the Phillies, you could get some distance between you and those teams. Well, guess what? Now we're double digit. Now we're looking at headed toward in a couple days here. We're headed toward July. And we're going to be, probably most likely, again, at worst case scenario, we may be 9 games up on Philadelphia. But again, if the Braves handle their business the way that they have against the NL East and they sweep the Marlins, you might be double-digit games over all 3 of the other, the 4 other teams in the division. I don't even count the Washington Nationals at this point. The Washington Nationals might as well go back to Montreal. They might as well go back to Montreal and play baseball there. They might as well they should have them and the Oakland A's in a minor league World Series and just roll the dice and let them do something else. Like let them just play somebody else. But beyond that, there's a definite chance that by the time we get to July, we might have double-digit leads over both the Phillies, Mutts, and the Marlins. And the Marlins are not for real. I mean, they're a nice club, okay? They're a nice club, and they've done some good things. They ain't overtaking the Atlanta Braves. They ain't doing it. And so when we proclaimed that the NL East last Friday was over, it's over. It's over. Now, we'll talk about here in just a minute about the idea of who could be coming back, but the NL East is over. And they haven't obviously clinched yet, okay? So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but they haven't clinched yet. But for all intents and purposes, this divisional race is over. This is not going to be Cinderella story out of nowhere that the Marlins or the Mets or the Phillies all of a sudden going to rise up. Did you see Steve Cohen yesterday? I thought he was the most honest man in the room. When I was listening to Steve Cohen talk, there were times where I thought, you know what? I wish we'd have had ownership that would have said some of those things. That would have been an honest. Hell, I wish Tony Ressler would be as honest as what Steve Cohen has been, and give us a snapshot of where we're at. But that's separate discussion for another day or whatever like that. But for all intents and purposes, this division is over. The Mutts know it. The Phillies know it. The Marlins know it as well. Marlins are trying to hang on for a wild card playoff spot, and that's their only goal. I mean, again, hey, great, yay, we're in the playoffs or whatever, yeah, okay. But for all intents and purposes, this divisional race is over, and it's because of what the Braves have done in this month. They took advantage of the bad teams that they played. They feasted on bad pitching. I mean, they feasted. You hit 300 for a month as a team with a 920 OPS. Look, if I have a player that does that for a month, that hits 300 for a month, has a 920 OPS, that player is probably going to help carry this ball club. That was their entire team. That's what's so absurd. And we'll look at, we get to a couple of days from now, we'll look at the halfway point of the season, and we'll look, and, the Braves are obviously on pace to win over 100 games. They've got a lot of guys that are pacing with really high numbers. Ronnie's, having a huge year. Olson's having a huge year. But this entire team, top to bottom, is getting it done. And they've overcome their injury bug. They've overcome injuries to positional players. They've been able to overcome injuries to your pitching staff all the way through. They've been able to overcome everything. No matter what's been thrown at them, they've been able to overcome all of that. So it's been a remarkable month for the Braves, and obviously this will probably continue into July as well. All right, as you make Hitting Hard your first listen, be sure to go in and let us know that you're an everyday listener to the program. So we like to call them our everyday or so. We thank you so much for being a part of our community. Leave us a comment in whatever podcast platform that you listen to, and let us know that you're an everydayer to the program, 5 days a week with us. So now reports are that Michael Soroka will be back on Friday. So according to Justin Toscano, among others, who's the beat writer for the Atlanta Falcons for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Brian Sticker said the Braves will probably announce their Friday starter on Friday morning. It would seem likely that Michael Soroka would be the favorite. So Again, Jared Schuster got, sent down to AAA yesterday. They had Kobe Allard come up and pitch. Obviously, he'll probably get another start here, but everything is setting itself up for Friday to have Michael Soroka come in and pitch. Okay. I mean, again, we saw Michael Soroka, up here earlier. It was the good comeback feel story, right? I mean, all good and all this kind of stuff. Okay. 0-1, 8.38 ERA, had one good start, then had a not so good start. He's got 9 2/3 innings, 9 earned runs that he's given up on the year, 3 homers that he's given up. I mean, again, he got kind of roughed up in one of those starts. So one was good, one was, kind of bad. But here's the thing. Okay. And I'll say it like this. All right. Barring any injury to Michael Soroka. Okay. I mean, unless he gets hurt or, he's just whatever. He's injured and can't pitch. Okay. There's no reason to send him back to Gwinnett. There just isn't any reason. At some point, let him get up here and stay up here. Again, he's going to have his ups and downs. He's going to have his bright, shining moments and his struggles. You have to let him work through all that. I know he hasn't pitched in a few years, but there's only so much that you can learn, even in the minors, to where at some point you have to figure out that you can either stay at this level or not. And we know Michael Soroka is obviously, he was a few years ago one of the best young pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, right? He finished, I think, second in the league in ERA. He should have started that Cardinals series and all that. I mean, again, we won't go back down that road, but Michael Soroka is a guy who, leave him up here. Like, don't do this Partridge Family bus thing that we do, where we have the Partridge Family bus running from Smyrna to Beaufort and back. And hopefully that bus is a natural gas bus where we're not polluting all the atmosphere and environment or whatever like that. Hopefully it's not got all the diesel smoke pumping out of it, because we make so many trips with Schuster and Dodd and this guy. And again, we've seen it over the years, the Tukey Toussaints and the Sean Newcombs. I mean, guys are on that Partridge Family bus like crazy. Getting their, again, they get on that bus and they get their acoustic guitar and they sing, "Come On, Get Happy." But Michael Soroka is a guy at this point that, leave him up here. Yeah, he's going to have his moments where he's going to stink. He's going to have some moments where he gets beat up around. But you got to let him work through it at this level. And again, I don't, normally you would think, okay, well, he's got to go down the minors. And no, I mean, again, at this point, I'll say it. We have a 10-11 game lead over the main division rivals that we have. We can afford to have Michael Soroka up here and work his way through some stuff. Because this offense can, again, Soroka goes out and pitches 4 innings and gives up 5 runs. No big deal. Braves score 6-7 runs a night. Oh, well, you can't, expect all that. Yeah, I can. I can't expect it. That's again, I can expect it. So let Michael Soroka work his way through some of this stuff. Like I said, barring an injury setback, barring a medical condition, let him work his way through this and see what he can do, and keep him up here and let him get back on track naturally. At this point, what do you have to lose? Again, you're just going through the same cycle of, we bring a guy up, we bring a guy down. Sit up, sit down in your chair. The Partridge Family bus, come on, get happy. It's rolling down the road from Smyrna to Beaufort. We're making that commute again. We're back on that commute, 85, 285 over to Cobb Parkway. Okay. And again, David Cassidy's strumming his guitar and singing, "Come On, Get Happy," or "I Think I Love You." Let Michael Soroka just stay up here and work through his issues, good, bad, or otherwise. That's how he's going to get better. We know that he's a capable major league pitcher. We know that he's a guy who can succeed at this level. We don't need to find out whether or not, well, maybe can he have success at the major league? No, we already know that. We've seen enough of that body of work that let him get acclimated up here and let him stay up here. And if nothing else, just solidify that fourth spot in the rotation where it's not this lambada of everybody doing this dance. You got Elder, Strider, Morton. Put Soroka in at number 4 and just let him work through everything. And know that every 5th day, you can hand the ball to Michael Soroka. And again, he's going to be here, barring any injuries, barring any medical setbacks or anything like that, And I think you'll find that the results will be good versus, well, he's up, he's down. Well, he's there, he's there. Well, he's, again, we got this guy and we got that guy and we're coming up and we're sitting down and all the falderall that goes along with it. Give him his chance to stay up with the big club and quit monkeying around. We know Soroka's body of work. We know he's capable of doing all this. Now let him come up here and stay in the rotation and work his way through it and figure it out. That would be the best remedy for this. If we're only going to get 4 or 5 innings out of all of our other starters, let Michael Soroka be that guy that takes that 4 or 5 innings every 5th day in the rotation. All right, thank you so much for making Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen. Be sure to go in and leave us a comment on whatever podcast platform that you listen on and let us know that you're an everyday listener to the program. We thank you so much for being a part of our ever-growing community. Through April of last year, we've been growing every single day, and we thank you so much for being a part of this journey and being an everyday listener. So let us know that you're an everydayer to the program. We ask you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast and get the latest episodes of Hitting Hard as soon as they become available. Check us out on the Sirius XM app and then follow me on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. We'll take a look at the month of July coming up for the Atlanta Braves tomorrow. This has been Hitting Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked on Sports Atlanta.